Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking into the world of fintech.
Fintechs,
Right.
financial technology.
Financial technology for those who maybe aren't as familiar with the term.
Yeah.
And we're basing this whole deep dive on a research paper titled Cybersecurity and Data Privacy in Fintech. And this was published very recently,
Just this month.
January 2024.
Yeah, cutting edge stuff.
So it's really, really fresh. And we're going to be looking into the biggest cybersecurity threats out there. We're going to be talking about the vulnerable landscape of fintech and also how companies are working to keep your data safe.
Right, and it's interesting because fintech is evolving so rapidly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really revolutionized how we manage finances.
for sure.
But, with all this rapid growth comes some vulnerabilities.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it seems like every day there's a new app that promises to make our lives easier.
Right.
But is that convenience coming at the cost of our security?
That's a good question.
And this research paper highlights that cybersecurity risks are the top concern for financial regulators who are kind of overseeing this whole space.
Oh, absolutely.
The World Bank
Yeah.
and CCAF.
The World Bank and CCF both emphasize this point. I mean, it's not hard to see why.
Yeah.
Think about it. The more we shift our financial lives online,
Right.
the more appealing a target we become for cyber criminals.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, the financial services industry, I mean, it holds a treasure trove of valuable data, right? I mean, it's our personal information, it's transaction histories.
Everything.
Everything, yeah.
So it's kind of like the big bad wolves we need to watch out for in this digital forest.
Yeah.
I was reading about phishing scams and malware, ransomware. It's all a little bit daunting, to be honest.
Yeah, let's break down those threats one by one.
Okay.
Phishing is basically like a digital con game.
Right.
It tricks people into giving up sensitive information, like
Yeah.
their bank logins through these deceptive emails or websites.
Okay, you think you're clicking on something legit?
You think you're clicking on something legitimate, but it's not.
Right.
And there was some research done by IBM, and they actually found that the average cost of a phishing attack for a company is $4.91 million.
Wow. That's not just a statistic either. That represents, financial losses, legal repercussions, and the long-term erosion of trust. It makes you realize how serious this is. What about malware and ransomware? What are those?
So malware is like a digital parasite.
Okay.
It basically infiltrates your computer or device.
Yeah.
Steals data, disrupts operations, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Ransomware is even more insidious. I mean, it's essentially digital hostage taking.
Oh, wow.
So your data gets encrypted, essentially locked up,
Oh, jeez.
and the attackers demand a ransom to give you the key to unlock it.
Oh, gosh. So in both of these cases, the financial sector is a prime target.
Absolutely. They're after customer databases, financial records, proprietary algorithms. I mean, anything they can exploit for profit.
Right.
Then there are the DDoS stacks, which aim to disrupt rather than steal.
Right. And the research paper describes this as like a digital traffic jam.
Well, it's kind of like a digital traffic jam on steroids.
Yeah.
It's like imagine thousands of bots,
Yeah.
like digital puppets, controlled by the attacker,
Right.
all flooding a website with requests.
Uh-huh.
And this completely overwhelms the servers
Right.
and causes the website to crash,
Right.
prevents legitimate users from accessing it.
So it's crippling.
It can cripple businesses.
Yeah. So it's not even just about losing your data. It's about losing access to these vital services.
Yeah,
That's a powerful weapon.
it is.
But, it's not all doom and gloom, is it? The research also discussed how these fintech companies are kind of stepping up their defenses.
Yeah, they're not just sitting ducks.
Right.
There's a whole arsenal of strategies being deployed.
Yeah.
Robust cybersecurity plans are becoming the norm.
Okay.
And this isn't just about buying the latest software. It's about embedding security into the company's DNA.
So it's like a holistic approach.
Exactly.
Not just a tech fix.
Exactly. Think clear cybersecurity goals, comprehensive risk assessments, incident response strategies, all backed up by ongoing employee training.
Wow. So everyone in the organization needs to be on board.
Everyone needs to be a part of the security culture.
Right, because you can have the strongest locks, but they're useless if someone leaves the door wide open.
Exactly.
So what other defenses are these companies using?
Access control is absolutely critical.
Okay.
It's about ensuring that only authorized users with the right credentials can access sensitive data and systems.
Right.
Think multi-factor authentication,
Yeah.
strong password policies, biometric verification. I mean, all these layers work together to create a digital fortress.
So many
Many
layers.
layers.
And then there's encryption. That seemed to be a big focus in the research.
Encryption is essential. It's
Yeah.
like scrambling your data into an unbreakable code,
Right.
and only someone with the decryption key can unlock it.
Wow.
So it renders it useless to anyone who intercepts it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Fintech companies are encrypting data both at rest, when it's stored on their servers, and in transit, when it's being transmitted between systems or users.
So it's like a double lock on your data vault.
That's a good way to put it.
But even with the best defenses, things can still slip through the cracks, can't they?
Well, that's why regular security checkups are vital.
Right.
Fintech companies employ expert teams to conduct penetration testing,
Okay.
basically ethical hacking, to find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do.
Oh, wow.
And they run vulnerability scans to continuously monitor their systems for any weaknesses,
So they're constantly probing and patching?
constantly trying to stay one step ahead.
It's like a digital arms race.
It is. It is a digital arms race.
Yeah, but instead of weapons, it's lines of code.
It's lines of code and security protocols.
But it's not just about the technology, is it? The research also emphasized this human element,
Oh, absolutely.
especially trust and compliance.
Cybersecurity isn't just about building technological walls.
Right.
It's about building trust with customers.
And that's where the regulations come in.
Exactly.
Nice.
Regulations like GDPR and PCI DSS.
What are those?
Well, GDPR stands for the General Data Protection Regulation. It's a European Union law, but it has global implications. PCI DSS is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard.
Okay.
These are frameworks for handling sensitive data responsibly and securely.
Okay.
They set standards for data protection, privacy, and security. They help build consumer confidence in the industry.
So these regulations are kind of like guardrails, steering the industry in the right direction.
Exactly.
But it's not just about following the rules, it's about going beyond compliance.
It's about fostering a culture of security.
Right. And recognizing that security is everyone's responsibility.
Everyone, from the CEO to the intern.
Yeah, and a shared responsibility extends beyond just individual companies too, right? I mean, the research paper highlighted this importance of collaboration in the fight against cybercrime.
Collaboration is absolutely crucial. Think of it like a neighborhood watch for the digital world. Fintech companies are increasingly sharing information about threats, best practices, incident response strategies.
Also, it's like a collective defense.
It is, where the strength of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Right. So if one company learns a valuable lesson about how to defend against a certain attack, they share that knowledge with the entire industry.
Exactly. Raising the bar for security across the entire sector. A rising tide lifts all boats.
Love that.
Yeah.
So this has been a fascinating kind of overview of the cybersecurity landscape in fintech. It's a world of high stakes, rapid innovation, and constant vigilance.
It is.
But before we get deeper into specific examples and what you, the listener, can do to protect yourself, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been talking about cybersecurity challenges and solutions, but I think it's time to get down to brass tacks. What are some real-world examples of how these attacks have actually played out?
Well, there have been some high-profile incidents that really illustrate the stakes. One that really sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency world was that attack back in 2021
Oh, yeah.
on a major exchange.
Mm,
And it wasn't even a brute force hack.
right.
It was a social engineering attack
Oh,
that exploited human vulnerability.
so they kind of tricked their way in
Oh,
rather
yeah.
than hacking in.
Exactly. They targeted the exchange's customer support system.
Oh, gosh.
By impersonating employees, they convinced users to reset their passwords,
Oh,
giving the attackers full access to their accounts.
wow. So it resulted in,
Millions of dollars stolen.
oh, my God.
And it really damaged their reputation.
Wow. That's a stark reminder that security isn't just about technology.
Right.
It's about people and processes as well.
Absolutely.
And as you said earlier, the attackers are constantly evolving their tactics.
Oh, yeah. Always upping their game.
What about ransomware? Have there been any major incidents in the fintech space?
Unfortunately, yes. Just last year, a prominent payment processing company was hit
Oh, no.
with a sophisticated ransomware attack.
Wow.
They managed to encrypt sensitive customer data,
Oh, gosh.
essentially holding it hostage,
Right.
demanding a massive ransom.
So did they pay?
Well, it puts companies in an impossible position.
Yeah.
Do they pay the ransom and risk funding criminal activity?
Right.
Or refuse and face potential data loss,
Oh.
regulatory fines, reputational damage?
It's a tough call.
It is. There's no easy answer.
Yeah. It really highlights the importance of having that robust incident response plan
Absolutely.
before an attack even happens.
You got to be prepared.
Right. But, as we talked about earlier, it's not just companies that are vulnerable.
Right.
Individuals are targets, too.
Oh, yeah.
We all have financial apps on our phones. We do our online banking.
Right.
Maybe we're even tempted by some of those get-rich-quick schemes on social media.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, it's easy to let our guard down.
It is.
So what can we do as individuals to kind of navigate this digital minefield?
Well, awareness is your first line of defense.
Okay. Be very cautious about phishing attempts.
Yeah.
Never click on suspicious links or open attachments from unknown senders.
Yeah.
And always double-check that sender's email address.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just one character off from the legitimate one.
It's amazing how sophisticated these phishing scams have become. They look so real.
They do. They're getting better and better.
Yeah, and if you receive any unexpected requests for personal information or financial information,
Right.
you should always verify it directly with the company.
Always.
Don't just call the number provided in the email.
Exactly. Look up the official contact information yourself.
That's a great tip because it's so easy to just get caught up in the moment
Right.
and react without thinking.
Absolutely.
And what about passwords? I know it's basic, but
It's worth repeating.
it's worth repeating.
Use strong, unique passwords for all your financial accounts.
Right.
And enable multi-factor authentication whenever possible.
Yeah.
It adds an extra layer of security by requiring a second form of verification.
Like a code sent to your phone or a fingerprint scan.
So it's like having a double lock on your digital front door.
Exactly.
Speaking of layers, what about software updates? I'll admit I'm guilty of hitting remind me later.
Oh, yeah, we all do it. But those updates often include critical security patches
Right.
that address newly discovered vulnerabilities.
Okay.
So, yeah, even though it can be a hassle,
Yeah.
it's really important to keep your software and devices up to date
Right.
and be cautious about using public Wi-Fi
Oh, yeah.
for financial transactions.
Okay.
If you must use public Wi-Fi, make sure you're using a VPN.
A VPN. What's that?
It stands for a virtual private network.
Okay.
And it creates a secure, encrypted connection between your device and the internet.
Huh?
It's like creating a private tunnel for your data to travel through,
Oh, wow.
making it much harder for hackers to intercept it.
Even on public Wi-Fi.
Even on public Wi-Fi.
So even if someone is snooping on the network, they can't see what I'm doing.
Exactly. It adds a significant layer of protection.
That's great. And while we're on the topic of vigilance, be wary of social media scams.
Oh, yeah, those too good to be true investment opportunities.
Right. If it sounds too good to be true,
It probably is.
it probably is. That's a good rule of thumb for life in general.
It is. It is.
And finally, I know it can be tedious, but it's important to monitor your accounts regularly for any suspicious activity.
Absolutely. Check your bank statements, credit card bills, any financial accounts frequently.
Right.
The sooner you detect any unauthorized activity,
Right.
the faster you can take steps to mitigate the damage.
So it's all about being proactive and informed.
Exactly.
But what happens if, despite our best efforts, we do become a victim of a cyber attack?
That's a great question, and one we need to address.
Yeah.
There are specific steps you need to take to minimize the damage and recover as quickly as possible.
Okay.
But we'll delve into that right after this.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before the break, we were discussing what happens if, despite our best efforts, we become a victim of a cyber attack.
Yeah, nobody wants to think about it.
Right. It's the worst case scenario.
But it's important to be prepared.
Right. So let's say you suspect something's wrong. Maybe there's an unfamiliar transaction on your bank statement, or you realize you clicked on a phishing link. What should we do?
Act fast.
Mhm.
The sooner you address a potential breach, the better.
Right.
First things first. Change your passwords for any affected accounts.
Okay.
Make sure they're strong, unique, not easy to guess.
Yeah. What about contacting our financial institutions?
Absolutely. You need to report the suspected compromise to your bank, credit card company, or any other relevant financial institution.
Okay.
They have protocols in place to investigate these situations and help you protect your accounts.
It's good to know there are systems in place to kind of help us navigate these waters. What about reporting it to the authorities? Is that necessary?
I'd highly recommend it.
Okay.
File a report with the appropriate law enforcement agencies.
Like who?
In the U.S., that would be the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, or IC3.
I see.
Yeah, and reporting these incidents helps them track cybercrime trends and patterns, which can aid in investigations and prevention efforts.
So it's not just about protecting ourselves, it's about kind of contributing to a safer digital ecosystem.
Exactly. You're adding your piece to the puzzle.
Right. The more data they have, the better equipped they are to combat cybercrime.
Right.
So we've changed our passwords, we've contacted our banks, we've filed a report. What else?
Keep a close eye on your credit reports.
Okay.
You can get free copies from the major credit bureaus and review them regularly for any unauthorized activity.
Oh.
You want to catch any fraudulent accounts or inquiries as early as possible.
So kind of like doing damage control, making sure they haven't opened any accounts in your name.
Exactly.
Or misused your existing information.
Right, and make sure you document everything.
Everything.
Keep records of all communication with your banks, credit card companies, law enforcement agencies. Save any suspicious emails or messages, and note the dates and times of any relevant events.
So it's like building a case file.
It is, gathering all the evidence.
Right, just in case.
You might need it down the road for insurance claims or legal action.
This all sounds really overwhelming, to be honest. And I imagine it can be pretty emotionally draining as well.
It's understandable to feel a range of emotions, anger, fear, helplessness.
Yeah.
It's important to acknowledge those feelings.
Yeah.
Seek support if you need it.
Right.
Talk to friends, family members, or a therapist.
Yeah.
You're not alone in this.
For sure. And there are resources available to help you cope.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a lot about cybersecurity in terms of technology and data, but it's easy to forget the human impact.
Cybercrime is a crime against people.
Yeah.
The emotional toll can be significant.
And it's okay to reach out for help.
It is. It is.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. The threats, the defenses, what to do if you become a victim. But as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway for our listeners? What do we want them to remember?
Fintech offers tremendous benefits: convenience, accessibility, innovation.
Yeah.
But like any powerful tool, it needs to be handled with care.
Right.
Being aware of the risks, taking those proactive steps to protect ourselves, knowing what to do if things go wrong, that's how we can really harness the power of fintech while minimizing those dangers.
It's all about being informed, empowered, proactive, and remembering that cybersecurity is not a destination.
Right.
It's an ongoing journey.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.